Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now, I've got a very special guest representing Championship Honor Wrestling, CHW, out of Ashland City, Tennessee. The one, the only, Chris Green is with us. Chris, welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Hey, I'm honored to be on here. I do love what you do. Actually, I want to talk about that real quick. We need more people like you who do these podcasts and talk about the good things about pro wrestling. Because, a lot of people online, they always talk about the bad things and all that, but they don't ever look at the good side. And, I really do appreciate what you're doing. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you, man. It means a lot to me. Appreciate that very much. So you're from Nashville, Tennessee, greater Nashville area. Tell me about your childhood and upbringing.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Nashville. I was in a wrestling family. Like when I was born, my dad and my mom, they was always around it. So I was kind of brought into this wrestling world, and it's kind of crazy because growing up, like I used to watch my brother wrestle and stuff, and all these shows we went to, like I enjoyed watching it, but I always said I don't want to be in the spotlight. I'm not the type to want to be right there in the spotlight. But it's crazy going from that to now when I got older and I'm doing it now. And it's just crazy because I was always the type who never liked the attention.
Really?
But yeah.
Were you shy?
I think it was shyness, and I think it was a little bit of like not having the courage to do it. Because when you're younger, you're watching, you see these big guys up there, and you're like, "Holy crap! Like this stuff is awesome." But it's like, you don't never expect yourself to do that stuff. But then now, growing up, and I'm in it, it's like it's a different world. Like it's hard to explain to people who don't do it because when you're out there watching it, it's one thing, but when you're actually in it and you know what goes into a pro wrestling like show or match, or whatever, it's way different compared to like an audience member and a wrestler.
It can be very intimidating, especially starting out, because it's like a whole nother physical work because
Yeah.
you're really dealing with so many muscles and joints in your body that you're using compared to baseball or football or
Yeah.
basketball. It's very physical, and it's a combat sport.
Yeah. And I think the good thing with me is though, is like when I was growing up, for the longest time, I thought it was real myself. Like, of course, you feel everything, but it's like in my head growing up, it's like I never knew there was so much that went into it. And when I actually got into it, I was like, holy crap, like this is way more crazier than I thought. Because in my head, I'm like, oh, it's two guys going out there fighting it out and having a match. But now knowing what goes into it, and you gotta put into it and get the crowd behind you, and there's so much in it that people just don't understand. That's why I love the sport of pro wrestling, and I hope a lot of people can actually respect it more now, because I feel like even not too long ago, like even with the whole stuff happened with Hulk Hogan and all that, when he announced the whole fake and stuff, when that happened, people was, oh, I don't watch that fake stuff, but it's like it's more to it besides just fake. Like the punches, the chair shots, all it's real. Like you feel it, you live it. Like it's not, oh, it's a trampoline. Like no, you feel this stuff.
I mean, when you go back to like the Attitude Era and go back and watch all those matches, like the Hell in the Cells and the
Yeah,
tables, ladders, and chairs matches, the risk that these people take, it's no joke. I mean, you're putting
yeah.
your body on the line, and many people to this day still are recovering from all these injuries that they've had over the
Oh
years.
yeah. That's like I think it was I was going on my third year or fourth year into the business, and I had my first ever big match. I was in a tag match with it's one half of PG-13, Jamie Dundee, and we had a tag match, and right at the end of the match, I went up. Like the whole idea was, this was around the time when Jerry King Lawler's son died.
Mm-hmm.
So his famous finisher was the leg drop. So Jamie Dundee pitched the idea to me. He was like, "Hey, look, we want the finish to be the big famous leg drop off the top rope." And of course, with me only being 3 years in, I wasn't that experienced with the ropes. So like, but of course, I wanted to do it. It was just like, all right, it's Jamie Dundee. It's my first huge match, so let's do it. So I get out there, the whole match goes great. I go up top, ready for the leg drop. When I come down, I ended up putting palms down first, and from the impact, it actually snapped both of my bones in my arm. And luckily, it was at the end of the match, so I was able to finish the match and stuff. But I had to go straight to the hospital for that because it ended up snapping both of my bones. And I learned there that I gotta gotta keep those hands up when you're coming off the top.
Yeah, I mean, definitely incidents like those. I mean, it's a price you have to pay when you suffer an injury like that because
Yeah,
it takes a while to recover from it and then get back into conditioning and get back into training and go back into the ring because you really have to sacrifice so much. And the life of a wrestler, it is hard at times.
yeah, and there's honestly a lot too that people don't realize, like that happens in a match where, like, because you got a lot of wrestlers where if they go out there, they have a small injury, but you don't hear about it because they don't speak on it. But almost every match that I have, I'm either leaving with like sore back, sore neck. Like there's something after a match, I'm just like, it's killing me. But I enjoy it because I grew up in a family who done it. So growing up watching my brother do it, it's like I wanted to follow those footsteps. And like I know a lot of people does it for, the fans and all that, which I do as well. But I think what really pushes me to do it more is the fact that like I grew up watching it. So like I want to continue that legacy of what my brother built. So I kind of want to follow in those steps.
Exactly. So you're growing up in the business, around the business, watching it. Who were some of your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Oh man, mine. So my top three. So one of my favorites I used to love to watch was Sabu.
Mhm.
It was him, Rob Van Dam, and my third one, which a lot of people are actually like not they're surprised at hearing it, but I think my third would have to be The Rock. Everybody's like, "Oh, that should be your first," but like if I had to go in an order, it had to be Sabu, Rob Van Dam, and The Rock. But that was my top three that I just loved watching.
What was it about those guys? I mean, we all know The Rock is, you know, so iconic. RVD as well and Sabu, both ECW originals. But what was it about those guys that really drew you in as a fan?
I think so with Sabu, I think what drew me in for him was the fact that like, everybody knew if you knew Sabu, it's like he always done something with a chair. If it's
Mhm.
the leg drop with the chair, something like me growing up seeing that, I don't know what it was, but it was just something to do with that chair. It's like I enjoy watching him just grabbing a chair and doing something with it. But that's what drew me to him. And then Rob Van Dam is probably like everybody else who don't love the frog splash. Like he was probably the first person I seen do the frog splash. So like when I seen that, I was like, "Holy crap! What is that?" Like that was nice. And then like knowing what it was, it's just like that's what drew me to him. And of course, The Rock. It's like it's The Rock on the mic. Like when he's on the mic, he's he's The Rock.
He grabs your attention so easily and
Yeah.
very charismatic. Basically, the total package. Can't get anything better than The Rock in terms of, his character work, his mic skills, his wrestling. Really, just incredible, incredible athlete.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Now, was there a particular moment where you just were like, I have to do this. This is what I want to do for a living.
I think honestly, the crazy part is it was kind of I wouldn't say forced, but kind of forced. So like when I was growing up, like I said, I never was the type which just like, all right, I'm going to do this. I enjoyed it, but I didn't want to like do it because I didn't like the attention. But I remember at one point, this was probably back in 2014, 2013, 14. My brother Steven, because he took a break for a while too, because he ended up having surgery and stuff, but he was getting back in it. And he was training around with me because he wanted to train around me so he can get used to it again. And then at one point, he was like, you need to get in it. And he said, while we're training, you learn as I'm learning as well. I'm like, I don't want to do it. He's like, no, look, he said, we're going to do it together. Let's just train and let's try it out. And then it was like almost every weekend we'd get out there, set up the ring, and we was just practicing and practicing. And then finally, my first ever match was actually back in 20, I think it was 2016, going into 17. So right in the beginning of 2017 was my first ever like my match, and I think it's once the first match happened, then that's when I realized, all right, it's not so bad. But up until then, I was just kind of freaking out over the attention and all that. But I think once I had that first match, I was okay.
What were some things that you picked up while you were training? Because it is a very grueling process. As I've talked with so many people on the show before about learning how to wrestle, becoming a wrestler. Any pieces of advice that your brother or your dad uh, talked to you about, or your trainers talked to you about that you still apply to today?
I think the main thing that applies to even till this day is the fact of just like I know this might sound catchy, but it's like never give up because my biggest issue was if I tried something and if I didn't do it right the first or second time, I just wanted to give up. I wanted to stop because it made me mad. But like my brother and my dad was like, look, you can't stop. Just keep doing it. He's like, the more you do it, you're going to catch on to it. And that was my biggest issue. The biggest issue I was having issues with was drop kicks, and I could not get it at all. And then finally, my brother was like, look, he's like, quit getting mad. He's just calm down and just keep at it. And then finally, I think probably my third or fourth match, I don't even know what happened, but like I remember in the match, like I swung the guy off and done a drop kick, and it was probably one of the best drop kicks I've ever done, even to this day. I think from that point on, I was like, all right, I understand what they meant now, but like just calm down and don't give up on it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to develop that confidence in yourself that you're able to do it and practice as much as you can. So you got it and it clicked, it started working. You'd mentioned, you were shy growing up, and talked about your debut match, overcoming that shyness. Talk to me about some of those first few matches. What were they like?
I think the first few matches, so in my opinion, a lot of people who's getting into wrestling nowadays, they didn't have to experience what like me or my brother, like some of these older guys had to experience. Like when I had to get in there, my first at least 10 matches, I was what people would consider shot on. Like I got pretty tore up. Like people was chopping me over and over, laying in their punches more, but it's like they wasn't doing that to be, a-hole. They were just teaching me like, look, this is how you get into the business. And that's how I was taught. Like I was leaving with bruises, like chest bleeding from chops. Like that's how I was learned. And my brother the same way. Like he was trained with he was in there with Kid Cash, and then Kid Cash lit his chest up. But what happened afterwards is he told my brother, you earned my respect. And that's just how it is. Like when you're in there, people in the crowd would be like, "Oh, this guy's in there getting beat up. He's getting messed up really bad." But it's like that's part of it. Like that's how you earn these older guys respect.
Yeah, you have to take a lot of punishment and really, put in the work in order to move up, so to speak, and really try
Yeah,
to uh, ignore all the pain and really put your body through so much when you're in that ring. And, you know, being in the ring now, you had mentioned 2013, 2014, been in the ring for well over 10 years, getting to share the ring with so many people. Who have been some of your favorite opponents that you got to work with over the years?
I think my favorites so far. Of course, I love sharing the ring with which we didn't face off with each other, but it was my tag partner, which was Jamie Dundee, and for sure, two of my top guys that I love working with is the Wild Wolves. They're like people you love them or hate them, but when I tell you they're great in the ring, they're like amazing in the ring. And there has never been a match where I went in the back and was like, all right, this was not great, or we should have done this better. Like every match we've had, it's always been amazing. Like after match, it's just always great. So for sure, the Wolves has to be up there on my top list. And then probably, honestly, my next one would probably have to be Sean Hooderich. My brother, he actually grew up wrestling my brother. And then when I got more in the business, I actually got to work him, and he was probably one of my favorite singles matches I ever had to have. And it was really great with him. And I think also too, what was his name? I actually worked him up at Yukon Jack's show up in Tullahoma. His name was Larry Cooter. He was another one that grew up, working my brother. And when I finally got to work him, I was nervous because he was one of the ones growing up watching. I was like, holy crap, like, he seems pretty intense. But when I worked him, it was the easiest match I've ever had. So I really enjoyed working with him.
Yeah, and being a part of CHW, definitely come into your own. You talked about your shyness earlier. You've really started to get that confidence, especially playing a heel. I mean,
Oh yeah.
becoming a bad guy. I mean, there's no feeling in the world getting away with so much as a bad guy because you can't get away with that in real life. But in the ring, I mean, you could do what you want. So
Yeah.
talk to me about becoming a heel and how you got involved with CHW.
So I think what started the whole heel turn was like it actually this is like a couple years in the making where, a couple years ago my brother Steven, he was like, we eventually need to work each other. And of course, it really wouldn't work out the best because we're both baby faces. So it's like everybody loves us. How would we face off? And then when we opened up CHW again in National City a couple years ago, we had our first show back, and that's when we started talking about it again. And then just a few months ago, my brother was like, "Look, let's do it." And crazy thing is, the original plan was he was going to go heel. He was going to be the heel. He was going to be the bad guy. But we ended up talking about it. Like I told him, I was like, I feel like it makes more sense because I'm the young one. It's like, I'm kind of angry at you because you got more experience than me. So we ended up just pulling the trigger and we just, I turned heel on him. And then I personally say this is part of the most fun I'm having in my career so far with being a heel because, like you said, you go out there, you do what you want, say what you want. And it's crazy too because there's so many people in the crowd who came and watched me as a baby who loved me. And then going from that to a heel, it's like the switch up is crazy. So I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, getting to watch that contract on a pole match that you had with Steven was really good because I could tell that you guys really put the work in. You were telling a story. It was incredible. Um, Talk to me about where you see your the CHW heading. What do you aim for the coming year, the next few years?
I see it honestly getting really big. Like there's a lot of guys who wants to come in and work with us who hasn't even been to a wrestling show in 10 plus years. And even like this show coming up, April 19th with Andy Douglas, he hasn't worked a show in years. And for the fact that he's wanting to come out, work with us and do something with us clearly shows that we're doing something good. And that's another thing. Like it's a big team. Like it's not only me. It's my brother. It's my dad. It's Aaron. Like Aaron's a big part. Even you, Stanley. Like now, like if it wasn't for you doing the announcing, like you're a big part of CHW as well. And like it's a huge team. And ever since Aaron Camaro came on, like he's really helped grow CHW to the top. And we're actually working now, which I can't give too much details on it, but we're actually working on trying to do something for the Ashland City community, like the kids. So, like, I'm working with Aaron. It's me, Aaron, my dad, my brother. We're trying to put something huge together to try to give back to the Ashland City community. Like, we got some big plans for that. So that's going to be coming in the next couple months.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. It's a huge community. A lot of people love wrestling. Nashville, especially, has just so much history in the surrounding areas. But you've done a lot of stuff in your community in the past. What kinds of things have you done to help out over the years?
So I think my first ever thing that I've done, I worked a show. I done it completely for free because first of all, I grew up watching this guy. His name was Tracy Smothers. And everybody knows who he is. And when he was down and when he was getting real bad, they done a big benefit show for him. And I was the first. I was one of the first ones to message like, "Look, I'm willing to do this. Like, I'm not going to charge you a penny." So I was able to work that show, and we was able to get a few people to donate towards it, and that was a really good one. And then when we was very first running in National City, there was this family that used to come to the show, and they would watch our show every month. And one of their loved ones passed away, and we was able to do a benefit show for them to help raise money for the funeral and stuff. So That was another one. And then there was actually a show up in Tullahoma. It was Yukon Jack's show. He done a benefit show for, I forgot what the guy's name was, but he done a big benefit show, and we was willing to come out. Me and my brother, we wanted to done it for him. And, we helped raise money up there as well. But it's really, I try to help as much as I can, and I do enjoy it, especially when it comes to if it's somebody who's involved or who watches pro wrestling. Because it's like if you can respect it, then I'll try to do my best to do anything I can for you.
Was there a particular show that you enjoyed working at that was just so heartwarming for you?
It would probably have to be honestly, probably Yukon Jack show. Like Yukon Jack, he's like family to us. Like he treated me and my brother like he's our second dad. Like he's always brung us in. He's took care of us, and his show has always just been fun. Like that's one show that I've always went to where I never have problems with. I never left with having any issues with anybody or any issues with the show. I've always left being happy. He's put me in great matches, and I'll always be appreciated with UConn because he's gave me some of my best matches in my career at his show. So if it
Really?
wasn't for him, there's some matches that would have never happened. Like here's an example. There was a lot of people knows who Mike Cobbs is, and he was one that I never thought I would ever get to work. And then I remember one week, Yukon Jack, he called me up. He was like, if you're available, I'd love to have you at the show. You're going to be working Mike Cobbs. And to me, that was an honor because that was somebody I grew up watching too. So there were some people that I never thought I would get to work. But thanks to Yukon Jack, he's made that happen.
Personally, where do you see yourself in the wrestling business? What's your ultimate goal?
I mean, a lot of people asks me that, but like I don't think I think where I'm at right now is I want to stay with CHW. Like before, like when I was just starting out, and like I had a huge run before where I was traveling. Like I was going up to Grimsley, Tennessee, up to Alabama, Tullahoma. We went up to Clarksville, like all these places to wrestle. Like I was just going every weekend, just going to all these other shows, and it's like right now I kind of want to focus on just CHW. It's my family show, and I'm also focused on just spending time with my wife, and we're trying to eventually get our family started and all that. So I think in order for me to get that started, I got to just stay with just one. Like I can't just be out here, traveling around. I want to stay with CHW right now.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
I think it's the smiles, honestly. I think like there's especially like there was some kids at the last show where even with me being the heel, he was like excited to come up to me. He wanted me to sign his little belt he had, and like to me, I do enjoy that because it's like these kids, that's what they love to watch, and the fact that I get to go out there and tell a story, and for this kid to have emotions that go from happy, sad, or whatever it is, it's just I love the fact that I get to make him smile at the end of the night. And I really think it's just the happiness, like the fact that I get a lot of joy from making people happy. So if I can go out there and tell a story and make those people happy, like that's good for me.
Yeah, I mean, pro wrestling just brings out so many different emotions, and when you have stories that really get the crowd invested, those are the best ones
Yeah.
because it brings out so much. And so what you're doing and everyone at CHW is doing incredible work, and so thankful to be a part of the team. And
Oh yeah.
want to say, Chris, thanks so much for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you? If you want to plug anything, feel free.
Really, just if they want to follow, what is it, Championship Productions on YouTube, and they can keep up to date with all the wrestling episodes and all that. And yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, Chris, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh yeah, and also one more thing, really quick, I wanted to tell you if because I'm also going to share this on the wrestling page is we're going to actually do a giveaway, and the giveaway is for some CHW T-shirts and for some certificates for Mama D's, and I think it's like $25 or $50 for to go eat there. But the way they can do it is they got to follow the wrestling page, but they also got to follow your wrestling YouTube as well. If they go subscribe to your channel and subscribe to uh, the wrestling channel, they can get entered in to win either a shirt or the certificate. So that's something we can set up so they can
Yeah.
get that done.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description box for sure to let people know.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks again, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Stanley.
All right, take care.
You too.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.